Well, we've got another potential massive stadium renovation in the works, this time with Bank of America Stadium and the Carolina Panthers. The city discussed a $1.2 billion framework for Panthers stadium renovations. $1.2 billion for renovations. That's how crazy we're getting with the NFL and stadiums. Of course, we had the Browns come out a few weeks ago, talk about possibly a $1 billion renovation. We've seen no renderings on that. And let me just say, this with Charlotte, it's not confirmed. I'm going to talk about what's happening. It says the Charlotte City Council discussed the future of the stadium in a closed session in late January. In the meeting, city leaders discussed a potential framework of a $1.2 billion project with $600 million in public funds. The discussion was meant to brief Charlotte City Council on what a potential deal could look like. While the city of Charlotte is part of ongoing conversations with Tepper Sports and Entertainment, multiple sources say there has been no official ask yet from the Carolina Panthers and negotiations have not started. So, we're very early in the process, but I do think this is big news because, again, this is something that I had speculated was going to happen. You look at Charlotte, North Carolina, it's a nice city. Their stadium is a complete eyesore. I know it's not very old in relative to stadium years, but yeah, this is a situation. I mean, $1.2 billion is brutal, man. For a renovation? Guys, there's a cricket stadium that seats 70,000 that is being built right now in Bangladesh, and the cost of that is $180 million. We're talking about I just cannot believe a renovation costs $1.2 billion. Wouldn't you just be better off if you're the owner biting the bullet, paying the extra $800 million out of your pocket and just building a new stadium that you can be in for the next 50 years and it'll raise your overall team value even more? I mean, what does a $1.2 billion renovation look like? It's basically a complete rebuild, and it's probably also going to include areas around the stadium. This is also pretty big news right here, and I would say probably the most surprising thing of the article. Sources say the city is exploring a stadium renovation project with a new practice facility at the location of the current practice bubble. A dome is not part of the renovation package at this time. And that was kind of the early implication when we saw a few renderings of them possibly trying to put a dome on Bank of America Stadium. That's actually a really, really big point right there, that possibly a dome is not part of this, and that's coming off the heels of the Browns saying they're not getting a retractable roof or a dome, maybe because it just costs too much money, but $1.2 billion is a lot. If they are getting a new practice facility, that makes sense considering that's going to cost some money. But again, guys, this is what I thought was going to happen. This stadium, I mean, whether it's a rebuild or renovation, it needs to be completely redesigned, in terms of the way the seating is with the two massive bowls, the massive upper deck. It's just really, really ugly. It is a wall of seats, and it's kind of interesting because they recently had a renovation, a little bit of the exterior. You can see they built in some entrances there. I mean, it kind of looks out of place. It seems like, I don't understand that renovation that they did. It just seems like if you're going to renovate the exterior, go ahead and renovate it. Don't renovate like a quarter of it. I don't really like that, but either way, that's the situation with Bank of America Stadium, a pretty crazy $1.2 billion renovation. Getting to the Buffalo Bills, they have announced that their stadium is happening. The documents have been signed and construction on new Bills Stadium is set to begin immediately. This will enable the Buffalo Bills' new stadium to open in 2026, and we do have the official photos of it. Reminds me of the modern soccer stadiums that are getting built in Europe with that overhang. They're trying to do the best of both worlds. It is Buffalo, New York. They do not want to completely kill the whole weather aspect of it and the snowstorms and things like that, but they also do want to offer at least a little bit of protection for the fans from potential precipitation. I believe 65% of the stands will have some type of covering over it, so it should protect at least over half of them. And there is the interior of it. Kind of reminds me of the new Allegiant Stadium, the Death Star in Vegas, just with the way the upper deck is configured. You know, it's a nice modern design. I like this stadium just a little bit better than the Titans' new stadium, personally. That one is a fixed roof. And then we do have the actual numbers. So the price tag on this, $1.54 billion. The original rumor was 1.6, so they were, I guess, able to cut it down just a little bit, but it is pretty funny that you have renovations costing $1.2 billion and a brand new stadium costing $1.5. Again, I realize Carolina is also potentially building a new practice facility, but that is funny to me. 242 acres, approximately 1.3 million square feet, the biggest project ever built in Western New York, and it will be ready for the 2026 football season in the fall. That is when it will open. So that is official, and those are the latest renderings. That's exactly what it's going to look like when it comes to the Buffalo Bills' new stadium. So that is happening as well. And then we also got this announcement: the Chicago Bears moving closer to building a $5 billion campus anchored by a $2.2 billion domed stadium. The team has formally requested to begin the demolition of Arlington International Racecourse. And there you can see some of the photos of their quote-unquote, I guess it would be considered a campus, you know? This is what teams are doing, but it seems like Chicago is really going next level and making the entire city of Arlington a de facto Chicago Bears college campus type atmosphere. You can see the different designs there overall. And of course, the stadium. That is big news if that is true, to where it's going to be a fixed roof. If that's what they mean by dome, you would think if it was a retractable roof, they would just come out and say it. But yeah, this Bears project in Arlington Heights, $5 billion. It looks like they're kind of moving forward with it. They are demolishing the racetrack on the land that they bought. And we will see when the official renderings for this project does come out. I do expect them to move to Arlington Heights. I know there was kind of a reimagined Soldier Field out there. That just seems so unlikely. Soldier Field is so old at this point. It seems like they're ready to move on, and that would be an absolute super project. With the stadium costing $2.2 billion, kind of the going rate for a new stadium that's domed, because the dome is going to add about, I would say, $500 million just in terms of price. So, again, we actually don't have any renderings of the stadium there. Unfortunately, they haven't really released anything. I know they released something, and it was like kind of an outline of a dome, but there's really nothing official or anything with any type of detail. So those are some major projects within the NFL. The two new stadiums for Tennessee and Buffalo. Carolina possibly working on a $1.2 billion renovation sometime in the future. The Cleveland Browns announcing a potential $1 billion renovation, being ready by 2026, possibly having to move and play elsewhere as it gets ready. And then you do have the Washington Commanders, now that their team is officially sold, possibly moving to a different area outside of Landover, and possibly a $5 billion color-changing dome stadium for them. So there is a lot of stuff, a lot of crap happening right now when it comes to the NFL, and a potential stadium boom with a few different teams doing some type of rebuild or renovation, but it's basically a new stadium. I mean, if you're spending $1.2 billion, there's going to be a ton of changes. And then you also have possibly Jacksonville looking at a major renovation, upwards of $1 billion as well, for their TIAA Bank Field. And then I thought this was funny. This is just a little design I saw on Twitter from an architect who does stadiums. This is a modern multi-purpose stadium. Oh my god, it's beautiful. This is what the Oakland Coliseum would look like if they didn't have Mount Davis and they just made the upper deck go around all the way. What I would say is they should add another upper deck to this add a veteran-sized upper deck to this and then troll people and say it's the new Las Vegas MLB stadium. But I saw this, I thought it was funny. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.